Hello and welcome back to another tutorial. Today we are going over the component structure for a React app. Now let's go ahead and let's dive right into a basic component that you're usually provided when starting your React application. I have pulled up here the app component, and we'll go ahead and we'll start top down and just explain how things are structured and how we'll want to structure things as we continue to build. So first of all, on line 1, you'll see that we have an import statement, and we're importing React from React. All of our import statements, whether we're importing React or Axios or other external libraries, we'll want to import them always at the top. And we'll do another example of this as we get into some of the rules of a component structure, but import statements should always be at the top. The next thing you'll see on the component is a function declaration or a class declaration, depending on which type of component you are using. So here I have const app is an arrow function, and we have a return statement that returns our HTML, which we see over here on the screen. So that is always going to be the second thing that comes in. You have your import statements, and then you have your function declaration. Here at the bottom we have our export, and we are going to be exporting default and then whatever the name of the component is. That is pretty standard. If you want to export anything else, so let's say that we have a variable up here that is called tacos, we can say, export tacos, right? And we can continue to export things, but we do want to make sure that the component is the default export. Let me get rid of that so that the screen stops being angry at me. But that is the main structure. We have imports, so there's my hand. We have imports, function, and then exports. Now, when you're importing things, again, these are some of the rules that we have to follow. Up here above the function statement, we can declare variables. So we can say const tacos equals tacos, right? And we can reference it down here. So we can create references outside of the functional scope. But now, if we try to import other things like Axios, it's going to get angry at us. Always, we want the first chunk of code at the top of our components to be import statements. We can't have variable declarations kind of interrupting that flow. And so we would need to have our tacos declaration declared down below. Now that being said, there's not a whole lot of instances that you'll need to declare things outside of the function, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And, we no longer have tacos. Let's delete that. Now the next thing we'll want to take a look at is where do we place our state variables? Our state variables are going to be placed directly under our function declaration. And so right under const app equals and then whatever, this is where we will then have our use state hooks. So I'll always have to import use state. Then we can say const tacos set tacos is equal to use state, and we'll just have all of our state declarations set right underneath our function declarations. So we can have a lot of different state values, right? And just have all of our pieces of state here, and then we can have all of our other stuff that follows. Okay. Now, this is where we can get into some of the meat and potatoes of a component. Is after we've declared all of our state values, we can then have all of our other functions. We can have like our function click handler, right? And we can say it handles clicks, right? And we can have all of our different functions declared after we have declared state. The reason why we want to structure it like this is more often than not, our functions are in some way, shape, or form altering state. And so we want to make sure that all of those values are initialized before we actually try to use them inside of a function. So you'll want to have state right here underneath your function declaration. And then after you've declared all your values of state, then you can begin declaring all of the different actual functions you'll be needing inside of your React component. Now, This is more of a preference, and so you can do this if you wish, but I try to shove all of my lifecycle methods down towards my return. And so right down here is where I might have my use effect. And so we'll say use effect. We got to make sure we import it. And then the reason why I have the use effect down here is this allows me to call functions that I've already created. So let's say I have a function called getData, and it sends out a HTML request to either my server or an external API, right? I can then just say getData invoked, right? Rather than having to write all of it out again. This is very handy, especially since I might want to use getData later on after invoking another function. So that is a personal preference for me. My lifecycle methods will go directly above my return. And you know, I might have a couple different use effects, and those will all be kind of stacked on top of each other right here above my return. And then inside of your return, from here, it's just basic HTML structuring. So you're going to have div containers, section containers, and you'll just want to use basic semantic HTML to structure that correctly. But that is the basic structure of a component. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to DM me directly or shoot me a message in my contact page. But yes, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this was insightful.